Rainwater dripping off my sleeves, coffee spinning black beneath the light. Radio low behind the kitchen wall, nobody at the counter tonight. Pulled in slow beside the ice machine, engine ticking in the rain. Vacancy sign buzzing through the window like it hadn't slept in days. There was ketchup drying on the table, couple receipts beside the phone. Somebody left the back door halfway open, cold air drifting through alone. Nobody at the counter tonight. Just burnt coffee in fluorescent light. My hands still stiff from holding that wheel. Some roads take a while to leave. Headlights crossed the parking lot once, then disappeared back into the rain. Everything felt half awake in there, like the whole place knew my name. Old man sleeping near the cigarette machine, hat pulled down across his face. Coffee cups stacked beside the register, dust hanging through the haze. I kept staring at the wet floor tiles, listening to the cooler hum. Thought about calling somebody, but it was way too late for anyone. Somewhere south of Amarillo, the night just settled in my chest. Didn't feel broken, just too tired to keep heading west. Nobody at the counter tonight, only neon trembling white, truck tires singing past the station, static floating through the night. Coffee gone cold beside my elbow, rain still running off the sign. Didn't feel lonely all at once, just nobody at the counter tonight. Radio still talking softly, kitchen light beginning to fade. I sat there a while without moving, till the rain finally changed. Ice machine humming down the hallway, blue light shaking through the blinds. Somewhere outside another engine started. Nobody at the counter tonight. Mm-hmm. sliding off the roof. Ice machine humming through the wall. Somewhere behind the motel office, the screen door closed once, then nothing. The parking lot stayed wet all night. Yellow light trembling in the puddles. I left the engine running low, just to hear something besides myself. Coffee gone cold in the cup holder. Cigarette burning near my hand. Static moving through the radio dial, like somebody trying not to talk. A woman at the front desk, locked up early, turned half the lights off before 3. Left a rag beside the soda machine, water still shining near the entrance. I thought about driving a little farther south, but the road already felt too long. So I sat there watching rain collect along the cracks in the asphalt. The parking lot stayed wet all night. Headlights came and disappeared. Blue vacancy glow across the windshield. Nothing really changed out there. Truck tires somewhere past the interstate, low and hollow in the dark. The radio stayed on till morning, quiet enough to almost disappear. Southbound past another closed down diner, fog hanging low beyond the sign. Baritone guitar through an old speaker, soft enough to sound half asleep. I caught my reflection in the rearview mirror, fluorescent light across my face, like somebody who kept missing exits and got used to it after a while. Big reason for staying there, no real reason to leave. Just rainwater near the curb and neon buzzing through the mist. The parking lot stayed wet all night, cold reflections under buzzing lights. Coffee rings beside the dashboard, smoke drifting near the cracked window. The truck stopped, radio somewhere nearby, playing songs nobody requested. I don't know what I was waiting for, but I stayed there anyway. Around 5, the rain finally stopped, but the asphalt still held the light, like the night wasn't finished yet. Soft tape is distant highway noise. Baritone guitar fading slowly into static. as machine humming through the wall. Blue light under the motel door. Some truck shifting gears out on the highway. Still raining a little. Left Amarillo after closing time. Coffee sitting cold beside the steering wheel. Couldn't keep a station long enough to matter. Just weather reports and static coming in and out. The clerk downstairs looked half asleep. Didn't say much when he handed me the key. Room 11, second floor. Ice machine right beside the stairs. Boots left by the heater. Jacket hanging off the chair. There's a cigarette burning slow in the ashtray. More smoke than fire now. Somebody's television bleeding through the wall, low and distant. Like another lonely room staying awake. I ought to get some sleep, but my hands still feel the highway in them. And the ice machine kept humming, steady through the fluorescent dark. Neon trembling in the puddles outside. Headlights rolling past the curtain slow. I just sat there listening, too tired to turn the television on. Whole motel breathing soft around me, like nobody here was really resting. Half a sandwich wrapped in diner paper, sitting on the dresser by the lamp. Rainwater drying silver on the guardrail outside room 11. Some diesel engine started somewhere down below, then drifted south into the fog. I watched the vacancy sign blink a few more times till everything in the room started feeling far away. Places like this all start looking the same after enough miles. Same buzzing lights, same burnt coffee, same men standing quiet by the window, trying not to think about home. And the ice machine kept humming, like cold air moving through an empty church. Blue reflections shaking on the ceiling from the sign outside the parking lot. I stayed there listening while the highway kept carrying people west, and the night kept hanging over everything without ever saying why. Ice machine humming through the wall. Radio finally gone quiet. Rain fading off the windshield. Somewhere close to dawn. The humming, the neon, and the room staying cold till morning. Radio fading under static, southbound again. Stop near the state line, truck stop half lit in the fog. Coffee tasted old and bitter, like it'd been sitting there for hours. Woman behind the counter barely looked up when I paid. Neon buzzing near the ice machine, somewhere behind the wall. A man asleep in the corner booth, cap pulled down past his eyes. TV glowing without sound, blue light across the floor. Rain kept dragging down the windows, wipers moving slow and tight. Every mile started looking like the one before. Thought about calling your number, held the phone a while, and set it back beside the cigarettes without saying much. Cold air leaking through the door frame, hands stiff around the wheel. The nights the highway feels so long, it doesn't seem real anymore. Another night near the state line, another town going dark behind me. Radio singing through the static, like it almost knew my name. Southbound through the heavy rain, dashboard glowing soft and pale. Everything's still moving forward, except whatever I came here to lose. Scarf still on the passenger seat, smelling faintly like smoke. I keep meaning to throw it out, never really do. Some preacher talking through the static, then an old slow blues song, low baritone guitar humming underneath the storm. Parking lot full of standing water, fluorescent lights shaking in the puddles. Dog asleep beside the diesel pumps, never even raised its head. No big answers waiting out here, just headlights and bad weather. Coffee gone cold beside the seat, and miles that keep unfolding. Another night near the state line, another empty roadside station, neon floating through the rain, like a memory not sitting right. Southbound under low black clouds, hands locked tight around the wheel. Trying not to think about you, somewhere past Amarillo now. Rain easing off a little, radio almost gone. State line fading in the mirror, while the highway rolled on. Rain on the windshield, radio fading under static, southbound again. Stop near the state line, truck stop half lit in the fog. Coffee tasted old and bitter, like it'd been sitting there for hours. Woman behind the counter barely looked up when I paid. Neon buzzing near the ice machine. Somewhere behind the wall, a man asleep in the corner booth, kept pulled down past his eyes. TV glowing without sound, blue light across the floor. Rain kept dragging down the windows, wipers moving slow and tight. Every mile started looking like the one before. Thought about calling your number, held the phone. Rain on the windshield, radio barely coming through. Southbound again. Stopped outside Amarillo for coffee, fluorescent lights humming overhead. Girl behind the counter looked tired too. Didn't say much when she handed me the change. My jacket still smelled like cigarette smoke from the bar back in Wichita Falls. Some old country station kept fading in and out, steel guitar buried under the static. I sat there longer than I meant to. Truck tires whispering down the highway, fog sitting low across the road. Ashtray full beside the shifter, cold air slipping through the cracked window. The heater came and went like it couldn't make up its mind. Every few miles another empty station, another voice talking through the dark. Somewhere near the state line, the road stopped feeling real. The radio stayed on till dawn, even when the signal got weak. Just low voices and old songs, keeping the silence off me. Rain dragging across the glass dashboard, glowing soft and blue. I don't think I was heading anywhere, I just couldn't pull over yet. Motel room facing the parking lot, vacancy sign buzzing outside the curtain. Water dripping from the ice machine, somebody's TV bleeding through the wall. I left the lamp on beside the bed, boots still wet near the heater. The radio sitting quiet on the nightstand, static moving slow between songs. I kept listening like I knew the voice. Nobody sounds awake after 4 a.m. Not the truckers, not the radio hosts, not me. The radio stayed on till dawn, soft static filling up the room, headlights moving past the curtains and disappearing back into rain. Morning coming up somewhere gray, coffee gone cold by the bed, the sky getting lighter little by little while the night refused to leave. Rain against the motel window, low signal drifting through the dark. The radio stayed on till dawn, and somehow that was enough. Static fading, truck tires far down the highway, rainwater moving through the parking lot. Last chair up on the table, bartender wiping down the rail. Some old country station playing low, through a speaker near the kitchen. I stood a second by the back door, smoke hanging in the yellow light. Nobody talking much by then, just ice melting somewhere behind the bar. My change folded in my shirt pocket, keys cold from sitting on the counter. Rainwater moving through the parking lot, past a rusted Chevrolet. The waitress shut the coffee machine on. One motel sign buzzing down the road. Somebody laughed out in the alley, then the whole place went still again. Baritone blues after closing time, low strings rolling through the dash, that old neon fading in the mirror like the night was finally giving out. Wipers dragging slow across the glass, southbound under broken clouds. crack the window just enough to let the cold air move around. Gas station glowing at the corner, blue light shaking on wet concrete. Radio static between two stations, then an old voice drifting back in. I kept driving past the warehouses, past the last lit bar downtown, engine humming soft beneath me, street lights thinning mile by mile. Didn't feel lost, didn't feel alright either, just tired enough to keep driving and piss. Highway noise, rain against the windshield, nobody needing anything from me. Baritone blues after closing time, empty road beneath the wires, coffee smell still on my jacket, neon sinking behind my eyes, headlights moving through the drizzle, low clouds over county lines, that old guitar riding beside me like it had nowhere else to go. AM radio glow, rain on the hood, another truck stop waiting somewhere further south. Pushing sideways past the windshield, radio station barely holding on. Somewhere west of Amarillo, the heater clicking every few miles. Tires hissing through Amarillo rain, 18-wheelers fading through the dark, coffee cooling off between my hands, dashboard glowing weak against the storm. Stopped outside of Phillips 66, blue light buzzing over half the lot. Kid behind the register looked tired, didn't even look up when I walked in. Old man smoking by the ice machine, watching water gather near the curb. Nobody talking much tonight, just thunder somewhere past the highway signs. And the tires keep hissing through Amarillo rain, slow and steady through another county line. Wipers dragging time across the glass, everything tonight moving half a light. Your voice still comes and goes lost inside the static, like a station drifting out somewhere at dawn. Some nights the road feels like forever, still I keep the engine on. Motel vacancy blinking through the fog, red letters shaking in a puddle down below. My jacket smelling like stale smoke again, from that bar outside Tucumcari. Last stool turned upside down by the wall, bartender counting bills beneath the TV light. I can still hear quarters in the jukebox and somebody coughing near the door. Rainwater running off the hood, cold air leaking through the driver's side seal. Both hands resting loose along the wheel, like I'd been driving all my life. Around 3:30, the storm got harder, road lines disappearing underwater, radio falling into static again. Just engine noise, tires in the rain, and those long black fields beside the highway. Tires hissing through Amarillo rain, mile markers passing slow beneath the storm. Nothing waiting past the state line, still I keep rolling toward the dark. Your memory sitting quiet in the passenger seat, like it never really left it all. In the highway stretching out forever, black and silver after midnight. Coffee gone cold in the cup holder, truck stoplights fading in the mirror. Rain still moving over West Texas, soft against the hood. Not morning yet, not even close. Tires hissing through Amarillo rain, radio static drifting in and out. Wipers dragging slow across the glass, southbound through the storm.
Coffee cups under fluorescent light, count 'em and yawning near the pie case sign. Rainwater drying on my boots, been driving since somewhere past Baton Rouge. Woman in a denim jacket smokes outside, headlights drag slow across the blinds. Coffee taste burnt, still keeps me warm. That's about enough this close to dawn. Waitress asks if I'm heading far. I look out toward the park, semis and shrub. fills my cup without another word, like quiet something everybody learn. Ice machine humming through the back room wall, old country song barely there at all. My motel key beside the salt, hands still shaking from the road. Coffee cups on the fluorescent light, blue-eyed glow in the middle of the night. Nobody laughing much in here, just tired voices and disappearing rain. And the highway still rolls through my head, even sitting still instead, like the tires never really stop. After nights like this, truck stop clock says 3:18. Couple truckers drifting off to sleep. TV weather flickers without sound. Cold front pushing southbound. My jacket smells like smoking rain. Ashtray full beside the change. Outside the neon buzzes low, like it don't wanna stay awake no more. Somewhere past the counter light, coffee steams into the silence. Nobody asking where anybody's been tonight. Coffee cups under fluorescent light, blue-white glow and tired eyes. Wet parking lot beneath the sign, fog moving slow past the highway lines. And for a minute I let myself sit. No radio noise, no driving wind, just the sound of cups and fluorescent buzz, carrying the rest of the night. Stacking chairs alone while trucks keep rolling through the dark. Tape hiss. Drums fading slowly into silence. Bartender shut the jukebox off. Chairs upside down by the wall. Somebody coughed near the kitchen, then the room went quiet. I stood outside beneath the beer sign, watching water run along the curb. My lighter barely worked, and in that damp midnight air. Smoke hanging in my jacket, keys pressed cold in my palm. The parking lot looked washed out under those low southern clouds. Southbound beneath low clouds, radio humming through static, city lights falling behind me, one by one. Coffee stain on the passenger seat, receipts sliding near my boots, rain moving slow across the windshield, past the county line. I kept one hand on the heater, the other loose on the wheel. Didn't feel lonely exactly, just not ready to stop driving yet. Southbound beneath low clouds, empty highway shining dim, neon fading in the mirror, mile by mile. Southbound beneath low clouds, AM voices coming and going, like folks talking somewhere far off through motel walls. Truck stop lights still buzzing ahead, couple semis near the diesel pumps. I almost pulled in for coffee, then kept rolling past the sign. Tires hissing softly through rain, blue dial glow on my sleeve. The road stretched quiet for miles, past sleeping storefronts and wire fences. Some nights stay with you a while, without saying much at all, just cold air through a cracked window and old songs between the static. Southbound beneath the low clouds, nothing moving but the wipers and those faded yellow lines pulling me farther south. Low clouds over the highway, radio static breathing low. The bartender killed the neon sign. One table still covered in empty glasses. Some old country song fading through the wall, while the waitress counted tips alone. pull my jacket off the chair. Still smell like smoke and fryer grease. Outside rain sat on the parking lot, turning the asphalt silver underneath. The truck rolled slow past Route 9, throwing water across my boots. I stood there by the back door a while, listening to the ice machine buzz. The cab was cold when I got in, coffee cup sliding near the seat. I turned the key halfway first, just to hear something besides myself. Static drifting through the speakers, some late preacher from Abilene, then a worn-out guitar somewhere distant, barely making it through the noise. Static on the Texas radio, highway lines running pale and thin. Town disappeared behind the rain like it was never holding me there to begin with. And the night got quieter southbound, just tires singing over wet concrete. The radio cutting in and out like somebody too tired to keep talking. Dashboard glowing faded green, cigarette burning near the window crack. Past an empty diner off the highway, chairs already turned upside down. Somewhere near the county line, fog started lowering through the fields. I drove with one hand on the wheel and the heater breathing against my knees. The song came through for half a minute, then disappeared back into static still. I kept driving slower like I knew it would come back eventually. Static on the Texas radio, cold headlights stretching through the dark. Every mile loosening something loose inside me without saying much about it. And it felt lonely in a quiet way, not the kind that has to be fixed. Just another road after closing time, and another night driving through it. The station finally disappeared near dawn, but I never turned the radio off. Tape hits. Air conditioner humming low. Pulled in close to 4 a.m. Wipers dragging slow across the glass. Truck stop coffee in my left hand, rainwater running off the dash. The woman at the counter looked half asleep, didn't say much when I paid. Just pushed the room key down the counter. Beneath the cigarette stains, there was mud dried up around my boots, a buzzing light outside the door. Some old country station playing softly from the room beside mine through the wall. The neon buzzed until morning, blew across the parking lot. Headlights moved along the curtains, then disappeared and stopped. I sat there with the TV glowing, without the volume on. Somewhere south of Amarillo, trying to rest my eyes a while. Ice machine shaking down the hallway like it never went to sleep. My coffee turned cold beside the bed, still halfway full beside the receipt. I thought about calling somebody, then let the thought pass by. Could hear 18-wheelers rolling southbound through the wet black highway night. A waitress left out near the diner, then silence settled back in slow. Only the soda machine humming and that blue motel glow. The neon buzzed until morning, flickering through the blinds. Rain shining under truck stoplights like broken dashboard lines. I watched the dark turn gray a little above the empty road. Some nights keep moving through you long after you get home. Radio static on the nightstand, low enough to barely hear. Some preacher talking through the static, then an old George Jones somewhere. Morning coming through the curtains, cold against the room. Neon finally losing color while the highway carried on. The neon buzzed until morning, until morning.
engine tick for a while. After I shut it down, rainwater sliding off the hood onto the empty parking lot. Somewhere nearby, an ice machine kept humming. The motel sign flickered again. Blue lights shaking in the fall. Room 7 smelled like wet denim and cigarettes trapped in the curtains. The woman at the front desk was watching some old game show rerun. She pushed the key across the counter without saying much at all. There was burnt coffee in the lobby next to a stack of local maps, and somebody laughing through the wall before everything went quiet again. The motel sign flickered again outside the half-closed blinds. Rain shining under the parking lot of lights, while trucks rolled somewhere past the highway. I sat there a while without moving, just listening to the air conditioner rattle and the neon buzzing off and on near the edge of the roof. My boots left water on the carpet beside the bed and metal chair. There was a number written on the lampshade, faded almost out of sight. The radio barely held a station, static drifting through old country songs. One voice disappearing into another, like towns passing after midnight. I thought about calling somebody, but it would have turned into a long conversation. So I let the cigarette burn slowly in the motel ashtray. Around 4:30 in the morning, a freight train moved somewhere south of town. The sound stayed low against the rain and slowly disappeared. For a minute, the room didn't feel quite so empty. The motel sign flickered again, blue reflections across the window. Coffee gone cold near the television, smoke hanging over the nightstand lamp. The highway still moving somewhere outside, tires hissing through leftover rain, and the radio playing soft enough to almost fall asleep to. The motel sign flickered again, right before the sky turned gray. I watched the light fade against the wall till morning finally took the color with it. Low baritone guitar, soft pedal steel,
tape hiss, rain against the motel window.